So an activity to break the icing, right? Let's have a feel of the mix we have on the call. You can drop your location, probably the state that you're in, and your profession, right? So for example, I would, for me, I would say Lagos business analyst, right? That's my profession. So can we just drop that on the chat? Where we are from or where we're currently in, joining this call, and your profession, so that we have a feel of the mix. And wow, Lagos software engineer, thank you for that. Lagos entrepreneur, thank you, Oluwanifemi. So we have business analysts, we have software engineers on the call, we have entrepreneurs on the call. Awesome, thank you, John. Lagos entrepreneur. Lagos IT support officer, Lagos network analyst. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're having people from all walks of life, right? Data analyst from Lagos. Thank you, Joshua. Okay, from Lagos again, quality assurance. Lagos radiographer, awesome. Lagos customer service, Kaduna cyber. I was meaning to ask that, is there anyone from outside of Lagos? Kaduna cyber security and data analyst. Thank you, Daniel. All right, so we have quite a mix. Comfy saying Ibadan project manager, awesome. So we have quite a mix of professionals, people with I can say solid background of the technical space already. I'm sure some of us are not into anything IT, right? So what we're going to do for business analysis, especially for those not into IT at all, or for those of us trying to have a career change, right, from whatever profession that we find ourselves in into or transition into business analysis, right? So we are going to take business analysis from like the basis. All right, so we're going to start from the basis, right? So that everybody can be carried along. For those of us that are already familiar with some of these concepts, just take it as it is, and you can also learn more from that. I'm trying to make someone a co-host. Just a moment. Okay, so let's proceed. So we'll make it as open to all or relatable to everyone as much as possible, right? So we might not be going into deep, but on the surface level, we would cover end to end, like business analysis, what it entails. It's a very broad field. It's a very broad concept. In fact, some people term it like an art, right? An art. So you can employ it in different places. You know how you can express some kind of your art nature, artistic nature in different places, right? In different forms, right? So business analysis, people have been able to express it as a business analyst. Some people express it in business intelligence analyst. Some people express same business analysis technique during their data analyst career, cyber security. Some people express it as product manager, product owners, project managers, right? So business analysis are like tools, techniques, frameworks, and things that you can employ for problem solving. but we'll go into all of that as we progress, right? So to confirm again, you can all see my screen, right?
Yes, please.
Awesome. Thank you, Comfy. So welcome to the class once again. And for some of us, we might have various reasons for joining the class, right? So some of us just want to like have information or insight into the basic principles of business analysis to know what it entails, to be able to decide whether you want to switch your career to be a business analyst. Some of us just need like useful tips. Probably you have an upcoming interview and you want to like brush up on your skills and get facts, right? And you don't have time to research. So some would come with that motive. Others might come with the motive that, oh, business analysis, I've been hearing of it. I heard that there are numerous methodologies within it, and you just need things to put it in perspective, right? And most of us are visual learners, right? If you decide to start reading here and there, it might take a while. Even if you decide to self-study, right? Using videos online, you might not be able to put it in a structured manner. Give yourself a structured learning. So that is the essence of most of the live session, right? Or live classes. So we'll go into it straight away, right? All right. So what we'll be doing over the next 4 weeks, right, is to look at business analysis, right, end to end, like I said, though it's much more broad, but we'll tackle it on the surface level and use relatable examples in which we'll be able to understand, right? So, so we'll be setting the scene, right? Like I said, I will approach it probably like an artistic way so that we all So we'll set the scene. We'll try to look at getting to a version of the truth because business analysis often deals with engaging people. And you know, people can be difficult. All of us know that, right? Getting the truth out of people can also can also be laborious, right? So you need those information from people to be able to propose a solution, right? So we'll still get into all of this, but I'm trying to give you a baseline on what you should be expecting. We'll be looking at capturing requirements. So if you've been able to get the truth from people, you would need to capture it as requirements, right? Document it. That's what it means. For those that are looking at what is requirements, it's just like documenting your shopping list, right? You're going to for grocery and you need to document things that you need to get, right? So they're like your shopping list. So let's term it as that. So those are the requirements that you need to capture for whatever solution you are trying to profile. Then we'll also look at process design, how to design a process. There can only be a few things in the world that does not involve process, right? If you want to eat, is a process. You need to cook. The next step, you do this, you do that. Everything usually has process or revolve around process, right? You getting on Zoom today, you're able to locate your WhatsApp, locate the group chat, then move on to locate the link for this particular call, click on join, input whatever details that is necessary, and you found yourself here, right? So there are process around typically everything, right? So for us to profile solution to something also, we must ensure that we understand the process around it, and whatever solution that we're profiling, the process around it also makes sense, right? So also we now look at testing new ways of working. Ways of working, meaning that the solution you have profiled, how do we test that it works? It works as you've envisioned it. Oh, I have this thing in mind. For example, you've used your grocery list, you've shopped for the food items, you've go through the process, design the process to make the food, right? And now you want to test if that process actually works. So you follow the process, make the food, and you test it if it comes out the way you've envisioned it, the ideal way you should, right? For example, you are trying to make, say, custard, right? And you've documented the process that, oh, you have to boil water, then you have to put the dry custard in a cup, then you have to mix it with your boiling water, add anything else that you need, like sugar, milk, right? Mix it together. There should be a way that you should envision it that it's going to turn out, right, at the end of the day. So, for example, at the end of the day, that you're done following the step-by-step process that you've designed, right? You're done, and you find out that the custard is watery. Then there's something wrong somewhere. That is what testing helps you to figure, right? You figure that out, whether what you've proposed is okay. Now, business readiness. You've created the process, you've tested it, it's working. Now, how do you ensure that the business is ready to switch to that new kind of new way of working, right? You don't just slam that new way that you've discovered on them. How do you ensure that they are ready to accommodate it, right? So, for example, in the scenario of that custard, how do you ensure the home is ready to start making custard going forward? How do you incorporate it to existing? Probably you have a timetable that you use for feeding, right? How do you incorporate making custard into your timetable to ensure it? How do you ensure that the ingredients required to make custard is always available whenever you desire to make custard, right? So those are the things around business readiness. You can even look at, can the home afford to make custard once a week or twice a week, or we can only afford it once a month, right? How often can we afford it? So all of those things pertain to business readiness. You want to incorporate the new way of working into business as usual, right? BAU, business as usual. You have to test the readiness, whether we are ready to do that. Right. So let's go into it. Now I'm going to take what business analysis is and who is a business analyst, right? Then we'll flow from there. So what is business analysis as a whole? What is business analysis? I should have posed this question even before showing the slide. Let's see the responses that we would get, right? But to conserve time, right? Business analysis is a discipline, according to what is on the screen. They term it a research discipline of what? Identifying business needs. Remember, it's business analysis. So there's a business, there's an analysis you conduct on the business. For you to conduct that analysis on the business, you have to do your research to identify the business needs and determine solutions to the business problem. So, for example, most people usually term business problem as negative things, right? When they hear of business problem, negative things. So business problem can either be negative or positive. So you need to understand that. How can business problem be positive? Can someone unmute your mic and share? Is there a way that a business problem can be positive? Anyone has the answer to that? How can a business problem be positive?
Okay, let me give it a try. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, so a business problem can be positive if the value outweighs the cost.
Okay, if the value outweighs the cost, then it's
The cost, yes.
Oh, awesome. 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 Thank you for that. Any other view, any other perspective in how business problem can be positive? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, thank you for that, Oluwagbon. Yes, if the value outweighs the cost, you can look at it as positive. That tracks, right? But from a perspective I'm coming from, okay, we have on the chart, a business problem can be positive if it leads to invention that can solve problem. Yes, that also tracks. Yes, that also applies. Now, the same way a 6 can be a 9 to someone and a 9 can be a 6 to someone, right? Based on perspective. Now, a business problem can be positive in such that they are trying to they are trying to like gain entrance or take what should I call it now? They are trying to leverage on opportunities. So look at it from that aspect, right? So another person says, Lechi says a business problem can be positive if your customers exceeds the product available. So you have more customer, much more than the product available. So yes, it relates to what I'm saying right now, right? So you are trying to leverage on opportunities. So if your customers exceed the product available, is an opportunity that you need to leverage on. It's a business problem, but it's also positive, right? There's an opportunity in the market. Probably there is an opportunity to do chocolate custard, right? And no one is feeling that opportunity. And you look at it and you see, okay, if we venture into this, we'll be able to make much more, not just our banana custard, right? Let's start making chocolate custard, right? So there is an opportunity for that. It becomes a business problem to you because you want to know how to break into that market of chocolate custard, chocolate flavored custard, right? It becomes a challenge to you because you have to get it right. You don't just have to jump into it. You have to make your research right. Do we have enough people that really want chocolate flavored custard? What kind of market will they sell in, right? We'll make it a big, like a big can of custard, or we'll dish it out in sachets, right? What is the persona of the people in the market, right, that will require this kind of custard? Are we selling to the rich? Are we selling to the average citizens of the population, right? So those are the things that you need to factor into place, right? It becomes a problem, but it's a positive problem, right? And there also you can have negative problems in terms of something is not working well. Customer keep complaining. Let's look at the case of banking application that goes down and you can't make your transactions and all. Those are business problems also. There are people within those organizations that are working tirelessly to resolve those issues, right? It becomes a problem for them, right? So I won't define business analysis as a research discipline for you to what? Identify business needs, right? You identify their needs. Their needs can either be to solve something that is very, very bad or appalling, or their needs is to tap into new markets, to make use of opportunity, to expand into international markets. So any of those needs, right? You now determine the solution to those business problems. That's what business analysis simply is, right? Now, business analysis can also be defined as um, the it can also be termed like about this investigating problems, right? When you investigate problems, when you identify opportunities and then define solution, right? Then it's also business analysis. So anything you've done that you investigated a problem, you identify the opportunities available, then you define a solution around it, you've done business analysis. It's as simple as that, right? So some people might think, oh, it's just one complex thing. That's the basics of business analysis. There's a problem or opportunity, and I'm defining a solution for it, right? That's business analysis. And for you to be able to carry out business analysis, you have to work with people, right? Because you're in a business, you're in an organization, either the business is having problem or the customers are complaining. You have to be able to get the ideal truth from either of those group of people, right? Both either internal or external. Internal is, oh, these people complaining are the staffs within my organization. External, these are the vendors or the customers that will relate with, right? So you have to be able to ask the right questions, understand what really matters, right? Because imagine yourself like a detective solving a mystery, right? The mystery, like, why isn't the business running as effectively as it could? That would be a mystery, right? So going back to the slide, solutions often include a system development component, but may also consist of process improvement, organizational change, or strategic planning, or policy development. Now, is this solution aspect in our definition that they are implying? You want to determine solutions to business problem, right? Now, our solution might include the development components. What system development components means is that you are developing a system. For example, we have an issue of, Teams. We always use Teams to call. There's a restriction, there's something, this and that. Let's invent Zoom, right? So you are creating a system, right? It can also involve process improvement. For example, you have existing process for creating your custard, but you often found that it adds lumps inside of it, right? You can come up with a new way of creating custard that makes it very, very easy to do without lumps, right? And all. You can even create a machine that do it end to end, but process deals with improving the process, not typically creating a machine or a software, right? That's process improvement. Then we also have organizational change, meaning that you want to change something within the organization for us to be able to achieve this. For example, your organization spends too much money, right? Their OPEX or operating expenses is too much. You want to start cutting it down. You might take the organizational change of cutting down on the use of paper. From now henceforth, no one should print, no one should use paper, right? We want to save cost on paper. And with that, everything routes through email or online, right? So you are sending any approval, you are looking for any consent, you want to sign anything, you have to send it to the person probably via email. So no paper printing, right? So that can be organizational change. Organizational change can also be structural in that you reshuffle the department, reshuffle the head of department to make things work. For example, in the banking business, for example, probably your POS, people that are in charge of POS are sitting with the card team. And you notice that POS is more technical, more of hardware, more of software, right? Hardware and software. And you decide that you want to move the whole of POS team to IT, right? So that whatever software they want to do improvement, whatever technical stuff, they can resolve it within IT and let cards focus on distributing debit cards and credit cards to their customer, right? That's organizational change. Now, there's also strategic planning where you have to plan strategically, right? Like a long-term direction of a business, right? Just how you set personal goals, like you want to buy a house or you want to, like getting fit or learning a new skill like you're doing now, right? So you set strategies in place, like business strategies for growth, for competition, or for survival, right? We want to ensure that in the long term, we are able to grow, we are able to compete effectively, and we're able to survive in this market, right? So that's strategic planning. You plan for that in the long run, then you start achieving those things that you've planned for, the short-term goals, the medium-term goals, and the long-term goals. Also, policy development. So some organizations come up with policy, right? For example, this is how we are going to undo speaking to our customers. We want to ensure that our customers, whatever issue they raise to us, will undo it within 5 minutes. And it becomes a policy all through the organization. And everyone has to fall in line. If your process is not making you respond to customer within 5 minutes, you have to improve those process and ensure it aligns with the policy. So there are series of ways you can prefer solutions, right? So if you hear solution, don't always think of it that, we are creating a software, right? It can vary from software deployment, even getting hardwares, right? Infrastructures. It can involve process improvement, organizational change, strategic planning, and policy development. So that's that. Now, for business analyst, who is a business analyst? Who is a business analyst? So for a business analyst, we would say a business analyst is the one responsible for investigating this business system. The person responsible for those investigations, identifying those needs, right, and providing solution is the business analyst. And for you to be able to do that, because the business analyst will often involve IT solutions, right? You need to be able to liaise between the business and the technical teams, right? So the business analyst simply stand as a bridge between the business, right, and the technical team. So business says, oh, we want to increase or improve our customer satisfaction score. For example, we want customer experience to be nice, to be okay, right? No reduce complaints and stuff like that. That's business talking. A business analyst would now delve in to meet with the business, understand what do you mean by improve customer satisfaction score? What do you mean by business should be okay, right? They will start breaking these things down. Oh, we have issue with this. We can't deliver our goods. Procurement is bad. When we are procuring ingredients for the custard, it takes a lot of time and all of that. So they will bring those requirements. So those are the shopping lists that you put together as a business analyst. Okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Now, how can we provide solution? You analyze it, you create the process, recreate the process, create a desired or to-be process, what it should be, the ideal state that makes sense, right? Then you now, with all those shopping lists and the ideal process that you've created, you now hand it over to IT team to be able to implement. Now, why are you being the bridge between the business and the IT? Over time, they've noticed that business would not communicate effectively all they need, right? Or say the full truth to the IT teams. Is when IT has finished implementing, or any technical team, right? Or any strategy team has finished implementing what they need. Then you start saying, oh, you missed this, oh, you missed that, right? So to avoid that loss of, oh, you missed this, or to avoid misinterpretation of what they really need, right? You see business analysis or business analyst coming in to make sure that we are able to interpret the business needs or problem into requirements that can form a solution that IT can run with and ensure that none of those requirements is missing or none of those needs are missing, right? We capture everything, make it holistic, and we can then meet with the IT team to implement such solution, right? Sometimes it's not the IT team. So for example, you might be working with a group of engineers. So once you mention IT, don't just, oh, it's limited for IT organizations. No. Sometimes you might be in oil and gas, for example. The business is in charge of upstream sales and all of that, making the profits, Naira and Kobo and all of that. And they're saying, oh, this is wrong, that is wrong. We are having a lot of gas flaring, wastage, and all of that, right? You are able to document it, how to improve the process, how to make it make sense. Then once you're able to come up with a solution that works process-wise, right? Then you would have to relate it to the technical guys, meaning the engineers that would probably work on the oil rigs or fix any of the oil decantation or filtration or whatever system that needs to be fixed to reduce that particular problem, right? So the same way it can apply to a business analyst working in a construction organization, right? Whatever the business need or whatever they want to construct, you document it, you make sure everything is fine, you plan it for them, do the solution, make sure it makes sense before handing it over to the builders or whoever is going to construct it. So it applies the same way. So you're the one interpreting business needs or business lingua into technical lingua, right? So that someone can actually do the implementation. There are some implementation as a business analyst that you'll be able to do yourself, right? And those implementations are things around documentation, training. So if something requires user training and you are familiar with the system, you can offer a training. You can produce user manual. So remember, I mentioned that everything does not revolve around solution, right? It can be as much as policy documents, creating frameworks, right? So you document those things and you share it and cascade it all over the organization, meaning that everyone should abide by this new rule or this new framework going forward because it's going to make our business much more effective or competitive, right? So that is business analysis and business analyst. I hope I've not been able to throw anyone off course. Is it making sense? Let me check. Yes, you can get the recordings later. Business problem. Okay, so I'm not seeing any question. So are we making sense? Awesome. Great. Now let's set the scene. Now we defined what business analysis and who a business analyst is, right? And you said that for you to be able to do anything, you have to meet with stakeholders. You have to meet with stakeholders or people, right? Gather information from them on what ideally is the issue and how you can resolve it. Now, remember, let's start from strategy, right? We want to take it from the top down, right? From, let's say, the highest level or the highest hierarchy. We want to cascade the strategy down. Remember, I said strategy is like the long-term, right? Planning. You can also call it the direction and scope and organization over the long term, right? I've already explained this. And for you to achieve this, right, you need something in place, right, to be able to fulfill the stakeholders' expectations. So for whoever is within your organization or wherever you are working or solving this problem for, they are your stakeholders. Whoever that is going to use the solution, they are your stakeholders. That's the simple definition of stakeholders, right? So strategy would help you achieve advantage for the organization, right? By putting resources in place within a challenging environment to meet what the needs of the market. So let's break it down what strategy is. In other words, a strategy would have a direction, right, where the business is trying to get to in the long term. And this is how most businesses cascade work down. So don't think that as a staff, random work just gets to you, right? There's a vision, there's a mission, there's values and all of that of the organization. And based on their vision and mission, right, and their strategic objective, some people will have their strategic objective, right? They will cascade it down what your task should be. That is what is fueling those tasks that you are having on your task queue, right, as a staff. As an entrepreneur also, you have vision for your organization or for your business, right? So you carry some series of tasks out, not because out of random you just want to do it, but they are mandatory if you want to meet those visions or mission or goals that you've set for your business, right? So that's where strategy comes into place. Strategy will help you to first understand where the business is trying to get to. Then you understand your market scope, right? Which market should a business compete in, right? If we take Dangote, for example, Dangote wouldn't go into some of the businesses, even though he have the resources, right? Because he has tried to identify his strategy, his direction in the long term, and knows which business he should compete in, right? You won't see Dangote going into telecoms. He said that himself. That is not his space. Doesn't have idea of telecommunication. So it's where it is his space that it goes into, what he has an idea of, what is his long-term vision, right? So which market should you compete with? You have to be able to define that. You don't just compete anywhere, right? Even for entrepreneurs, you don't just open your shop anywhere, right? You look at the place that you want to play in, right? Then advantage, how can the business perform better than the competition in those markets? So now this market that I've situated myself in, probably let's go back to our example of typical custard. I'm using custard because I'm sure you can familiarize yourself with it. It's relatable, right? So where should we, how can we perform better in the market, right? Are we performing better in terms of the quality of our product? Are we performing better in terms of the pricing of our product, right? Or are we performing better in terms of how close we are to our customers, right? Probably we have shop in every street within that location. For example, I'm sure some of us are familiar with all these supermarkets, right? Some open at strategic place where there are homes that can patronize them, right? They open at strategic places, right, where they would receive the most patronage, right? And then they would differentiate themselves out to be able to last in that competition. Probably they are making their place much more better. The ambience is good, their customer service is good, or their packaging, right? So those are the advantage that they will look at. In this market that we are now in, how can we perform better? Then the resources. What are the resources that we need, right, to be the best in this market, to last longer in this market, or to grow in this market? Do we require skilled people, right? Or do we need to learn some skills? Do we need to acquire some assets? Do we need some relationships, right? Do I need to know the local government chairman, right, to be able to function effectively in this space, right? Then you look at the environment. What are the external environment factors? What are the internal environment factors? What are they saying, right? Everything around us, the political climate, is it okay, right? Social wise, is it okay? Can we market this kind of product according to this is this social geographical area, right? Can we market this kind of product to them? Then you look at your stakeholder, what they really need. What we've broken down now are things contained within this definition of strategy, right? Where you see the environment, the resources, the stakeholder, the management, and all of that, right? And the advantages, right? It's all within this definition. So that is what your strategy helps you to identify, right? Your strategy is going to embody all of this. Our direction, our market that we are going to play in, the competitive advantage we need to build, the resource required to build those competitive advantage, right? The environment, we need to understand the environment, what dollar is saying, what naira is saying, can we play in that kind of market, and the stakeholders who we are trying to satisfy, both internal and our customers. If we are working with other businesses, those businesses are also external stakeholders, right? So that's where strategy comes into place. And for you to be able to fully do your strategy or effectively do your strategy, like I said, business analysis is an art, right? We make use of tools, we make use of techniques, we make use of frameworks, right? It's just like physics, chemistry, accounting. There are some specific mathematics, there are some specific rules, theories, right? That if you follow, like for example, 2 plus 2 will always be equals to 4 under some specific set of conditions, right? Some people will say in the speed of light, 2 plus 2 is not equals to 4. So under specific set of conditions, there are some theories that you can follow and you will achieve your set goals. So is business analysis. There are some tools that you can use to carry out strategic planning and you will achieve your set goal. And the tools include SWOT analysis, pest analysis. Some would add LE to that to make it pest tool analysis, your Porter's 5 force, and your McKinsey's 7S model. Remember, we are going end to end and we don't need to rush all of business analysis in a day, right? So stick with me, stay with me. So we are taking it from the beginning of business analysis, how you start everything, then how you provide your final solution and incorporate it into the business. Remember the table of content we went through, right? So now we are still at the beginning. So you need to be able to define strategy, and these are the tools that you need to define your strategy. So we'll take each of those two one after the other. I'm sure most of us have encountered these two in one way or the other, especially if you studied economics at one point in time in your life. You might have been so used to these tools, right? So I'm going to start from SWOT analysis. So for SWOT, if you are hearing SWOT, what it typically means, as seen on the screen, is strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, right? So it's your everyday analogy. If you want to do your go-to tool, right, is your strength, weakness, opportunities, threat. And to analyze it in what you do daily, right? Imagine you want to apply for a job, right? What do? You do your self-assessment, right? You assess yourself. Let me know my strengths. Do I have strong analytical skills or good communication? Okay, I have that. Now, what are my weaknesses? I don't have experience using tools like Microsoft Teams. I don't know how to use Power BI. I don't know how to use Excel, right? Those are my weaknesses. I'm doing self-assessment. Then I go to opportunities. What are the opportunities? Opportunities is speaking to what? Current external trends, which are waiting to be taken advantage of. Now, for someone applying to a job, I might now look at my opportunities. My opportunity is that the company that I want to apply to provides training, right? That's an opportunity I can leverage on. So when I get to the interview, I'll say I'm a good learner, I'm an avid learner. Some people will say exponential learner. super exponential learner. I learn on the job. Since the company is providing training, I'm willing to learn and all of those stuff. So those are the opportunities. Now, continue my self-assessment. I look at the threats. What are my threats? Threats is external movements, which may cause what? A problem or have negative impact, right? So if I want to apply to a job, my threats will be other candidates that have or that may have more experience than me, right? Those are my threats. Now, since I've been able to identify my strengths, my weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, then I'll now plan on how to overcome this so that I'll be the most preferred candidate, right? So since I know that there might be other candidates that might have much more, I will capitalize on my strength, right? Push those strengths. I know how to communicate well. My analytical skills is good. I'll sell those skills very, very well. I've used it to save countless business, right? Over the years, I would look at my weaknesses and name similar things, right? Oh, though I'm not good in Excel, I'm good in this calculation and that calculation. I can use this tool. Probably I can use Power BI, right, in place of Excel. I'm not good in using Microsoft Teams, but I'm very good in using Zoom, right? Since I'm a fast learner, I can translate the knowledge of Teams to Zoom, right? Or from Zoom to Teams, right? I can use that same knowledge of using this particular technology and this technology. So that's how I sell myself, right? So businesses will also do this same thing, this same analysis before making decision. What are our strengths as a business? What do we know how to do well? We are the best custard producing banana custard, right? What is our weakness? Our weakness is that the banana market is internally. So probably we can't produce enough to satisfy the needs of our customers or the request of our customers, or our customers are asking for other flavors and we don't have the tools necessary or the resource necessary to be able to do that, right? Then our opportunities that, oh, probably we have some people that can invest, or we can sell shares, or we can raise funds, right? Those are opportunities. We have some good standing with some people in high and mighty places, so we can leverage on that. What are our threats? Other people already producing probably chocolate flavored custard, right? Maybe there are few, but we can mass produce and overturn the market. So these are things that businesses consider before making decisions. They don't just say everybody jump out there. If you jump out there, you can jump back in, right? So you have to do this analysis, and hence you need a business analyst to be able to do this, right? You will notice that business analyst is now focused on the problem, on how to turn things around. You don't expect your CEO, your MD, everyone to start focusing on problem. Yes, they know the problem, they will state it, but they need someone that can separate himself out, analytically analyze the situation, and that's business analysis. Analyze the situation and bring out the meat or the bone of whatever of contention, how we are going to resolve these issues, right? So as a business analyst, you conduct your SWOT for the business. For this business, this is their problem. What are the strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are our opportunities? What are our threats? And that's SWOT analysis. If you can go through that, you can capitalize on your strength, try to resolve your weakness or cover for those gaps. Your opportunities, you leverage on them, right? And your threats, you try to ensure that your threats, you can, by working on these first three, you are able to what? Overcome those threats, right? Or make them insignificant in your move, right? And that's how business play to their strengths using SWOT. The next one is pest, right? Pest analysis. I won't go into the details of pest too. So pest analysis deals with political, economical, social, technological, right, environment. So what you want to do as a business analyst, you first, pest analysis is for external environment, right? While SWOT, you are looking at your strength, your weakness, your opportunity, your threat. Remember, everything is your right, internal. Your pest analysis is external. You are looking at the political, economical, social, and technological environment of your business. Environment usually deals with external, right? So imagine you are starting like a small food business as an entrepreneur, right? So you consider the political climate. Are there new food safety law? Are there new food safety law that you have to abide by, right? You look at the economical climate also. Are people spending less due to inflation, for example? As people spending less. So if people are spending less, then I would need to come up with a way to make my food at least affordable to a lot of people if I want to sell to bulk of people, right? Now, social wise, are customers shifting towards, let's say, vegan diet? I know it's quite rare in Nigeria, right? So are customers doing fit farm? Do they want parfait more than they want shawarma, right? All those kind of things, you have to consider it, right? Then technological climb. Are new delivery apps disrupting the market? Are other food vendor, are they using Chowdeck? Are they using Glovo, right? To reach far and near customers, right? So all of this you have to consider, and that's your best analysis, considering your environment before you propose solution so that you understand what you really want to solve for. Now, let's go quickly into Porter's 5 forces. I hope what I'm explaining is relatable, right? It's making sense. Okay, great. So for Porter's 5 forces, Porter's is saying you can use these 5 forces to analyze the competitiveness of the industry in which you want to operate in, right? So I would use an analogy to also explain this. I'll use an analogy, right? So let's imagine that you are opening a coffee shop. Did I just did this on my screen? I'm not sure. So I'll use so just a moment. I want to delete all of this. Clear all drawings. Okay. So I'm going to use an analogy to explain this Porter's 5 forces. I'm saying let's imagine you are opening a coffee shop, right? Now we need to be able to identify what threats of new entrants, for example, to the market. Threat of new entrants. So how easy it is for new persons to open coffee shop? If the barrier for entrance is very low, then you are going to have a lot of competition, right? So you don't see everybody jumping into furniture business because of what? The barrier for entry is quite high. You have to have sufficient amount of funds, right? To be able to put some things together, create your showroom, and be able to be competitive out there. You even have to have some skilled workers creating those furnitures for you, right? So you have to take note of the threat of new entrants. Is it easy for new coffee shops to open, right? Bargaining power of suppliers. Bargaining power of suppliers. So do you depend on a single coffee bean supplier? If you're a furniture maker, do you depend on a single place to source all your furniture or all your goods? If you are depending on a single person, they can increase the price. You have no point for negotiation, right? So if you have multiple suppliers, then you can bargain, right? So if you only have one, then it's harder, right? The same thing happens to this oil business, right? Bargaining power of supplier. It comes into play in those kind of high level entry barrier business, right? There are some people that are the major supplier of the market, and it's whatever they set their price to. That's what you have to play by, right? The next one is bargaining power of the customer. Can customer easily switch to competitors, right? So, for example, we have peak milk. If people are saying peak milk is too expensive, can you easily switch to Dano milk? Can you easily switch to any other kind of milk, cowbell, right? So, can customer easily switch? If it's hard for customer to easily switch, then you have much more strength in the market. It's much more likely that go for it. People will often buy your product because it's not easy to switch. There are some products it's really, really not easy to switch. For some of us that are on Apple ecosystem, right? For you to switch to another ecosystem becomes so much difficult sometimes, right? Because you have to junk your iPad, your MacBook, your iPhone, and any other iPod and stuff like that, right? So you've created an ecosystem that is hard for people to switch. And that's the power of Apple. That's what they've done. That's what they've created, right? So can customer easily switch to competitors? If you can ensure that that part is no, it's difficult for people to switch away from your business, then you are at a competitive advantage as a business, right? Then threat of substitute. Will people choose tea instead of coffee? Is there a substitute in the market? Will people go for an inferior stuff? Or there's another product out there that people can use, right? That is often the same. Do you have a shop near your food business that people can easily switch to, right? So that is another threat of substitute. Then competitive rivalry. Are there too many coffee shops in your area? For example, where you are trying to locate your business, your hairdressing business, or your, let's say you want to start selling computers, you want to open a business somewhere, and there are a lot of people that do the same business, right? Meaning you are going to have to share the customers, the passers-by, right? The walking customers and all of that. You are going to have to split it across all those businesses, right? Because customers will have choice. They will be able to switch to competitors, right? So those are the Porter's 5 force, right? Once you can have that, then it would help you. Now I'm going to take this last one, then we'll start from getting to the version of the truth in our next class. I don't want it to be much more than 1 hour, right? So I'm going to take McKinsey's 7S framework. So I'm going to be brief on this. For McKinsey, he just aligned is around the 7 things that should be in place, right, for an organization to perform well, right? Each one of them, they are mutual reinforcing elements, right? Mutually reinforcing means that, imagine we held hands together to form a chain. If someone wants to fall down, the others can pull the person up, right? So that's mutually reinforcing. So if you can put your structure in place that it makes sense, then you put system in place and strategy, then you ensure that everyone is well skilled, you ensure that you staff right, you ensure you have a right style, and you have shared values, right? Shared values holding on to everyone. Then you can have a successful organization. So people really sit down to plan how to put all of these 7 items in place within their businesses, right? And whatever solution that they are proposing, they will ensure that it aligns to one of these 7 items, right? Whatever solution, it must align to at least one. So it's either it's facing the system, or we are doing both system and staff, right? Probably we are creating a new customer, let's say contact center, to call our customer, help desk, to call our customer. Then we'll have to staff the contact center, right? We'll staff them, add more staff to it. Then we'll upskill them, train them, right? Then we'll say these are our values. You have to be polite to the customer. Customer is always right. So we'll put all those things in place. So whatever you are implementing, right, would align into the 7S frameworks, right? So also you can use the 7S to look at what is in place in terms of this 7 items in your organization and what is missing, and try to balance in what is missing. That is where business analysis, when you are looking at strategy, the strategy from the top. Now, all of this that we are saying is still from the top, right? It's based on the strategy, the outcome of your strategy analysis, and all the analysis that you've done. Then you now cascade it downwards when you are looking at the problem. Now, some of us will say, how do we select the right tool? Now, you've mentioned SWOT, you've mentioned PEST, you've mentioned Porter's 5 force and McKinsey. How do you select the right one? So for SWOT, SWOT is great for reviewing internal elements. Like I said, they are your strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, right? So you want to understand the weakness of your business and how it will help you to eliminate the threat. If you have significant strength, you can use it to overcome the threat of another place, right? So those are SWOT, is for internal elements. So once you want to analyze anything internal, go for SWOT, right? For PEST, is a great tool to ensure you give adequate consideration to external factors, right? So you also consider external factors that would impact your business or your project. While Porter's 5 force is used for what? Analyzing attractiveness, likely profitability. So if you are looking at entering into a market, going into a market, gaining more market share, penetrating market penetration and all of those stuff, you go for Porter's 5 forces, right? Then for McKinsey is to what? Identify what needs to be realigned. Like I said, people look at those 7 items and look at what is missing, what we need to realign within our organization to improve performance. If our style is gone, we need to realign it. If staffing needs to be improved, we need to realign it. If skill is going down, we need to upskill or train our staff, right? So it's just for internal realignment, right, during a change. Then whatever the change is, the model can be used to understand how the elements are interrelated. That is McKinsey. Now, you don't necessarily have to use just one tool. You can combine tools. For example, people often combine SWOT and PEST together, right? Some people call this their SWOT. They have another one called the most analysis and all of that. But you can combine tools together. For example, if I'm doing internal, then I should also review external. For example, do my PEST. Then if I want to venture into a new business, I'll add Porter 5 first to it. So you're not typically limited to one, right? If I want to do internal improvement or after doing my SWOT and I notice that some things are missing or we have a lot of weaknesses that we need to cover for, I can refer to McKinsey to identify which kind of weaknesses that we need to actually cover for and develop solution for that, right? So those are how these tools work together. Before we round up the session, right, we'll be starting with getting to a version of the truth from our next class. So you don't want to miss the next session, right? You don't want to miss the next session. So we'll be getting to version of the truth on the next session.